Hey everyone, Blake here with Mary Myers from WorldMax. Mary, glad to have you on here today. We have some directions FOMO, but before we get into that, tell everyone who you are, what you do.
Hey Blake, thanks for having me. Mary Myers here. I am the Chief Maximizer at WorldMax, where we are obsessed with maximizing dynamic solutions, whether that be CRM or Business Central with the Power Platform.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm so glad to have you on. It's been a while. I know we've been planning this, having a chat, but this seemed like a really good time. We are both stranded here in the southeast, and really missing all the action going on in Lyon. So, have you been keeping up at all?
I've been trying to keep up, but also not so much because, as you stated, the FOMO is high. I see the announcements come through, and I'm like, upset about it. But I'm also looking forward to maybe spending some time this weekend to just, really dive into that, play around, and see if I can find any of these new features we're hearing about.
Me too. And it's so much to come out of these conferences. We're coming off the heels of Community Summit ourselves, and you're just waiting on the blogs sometimes, or X, formerly known as Twitter, to kind of catch up with all the news because there's just so much, and you have to be able to sort through and sort of digest.
Yeah, that's so true. And like you say, just coming out of Summit, I feel like I have been on the conference circuit for a hot minute now over the last couple of months. And sometimes I go to these keynotes and I'm like really excited about them, but then I'm like, cool. I heard about this here. I heard about this here, right? And so I've been like kind of at the forefront of stuff. And so I was kind of surprised to see all of this massive new stuff coming out, which really incited the FOMO there. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the real heroes out there are the ones who are at the conference. They're taking pictures of the slides and posting them on LinkedIn. Those are the real MVPs for me right now.
There you go. There you go.
So Mary, Business Central has been a huge topic. I mean, really, like you said, across the conference circuit, and definitely again at Directions. There's so many thousands of users with Business Central every day.
30,000 users, I believe, is the newest stat that I saw. So there's 30,000 users on Business Central.
I know that's wild, and it's been fun. For the couple of years I've been in this to see the growth, and you've been in this for a while too. So, what did it look like when you started in BC to now?
Yeah, when I started in BC to now, like you said, it's been such like this amazing like growth scenario. I want to say one of the original slides that I saw said like maybe like 10,000 customers, and I want to say it was like 26 countries. And at that point in time, they were having, I think it was like 200% year-over-year growth, but like those numbers are a lot easier to reach when you're in year one and two, right? Now they're at like 5 or 6 years in, and they have 70% of monthly active users, year over year. So I think that's still a really strong high number. Um, Still, you know what I mean, like given this amount of years. And it was funny. I was actually talking with Steve Merdue at the Power Platform Conference in Vegas. And, I was giving him a hard time about Business Central. And then he was saying, that he was talking to Charles Lamanna, and Charles was like, Business Central just keeps growing. Like the numbers that we're seeing out of Business Central are crazy. And we don't even really fully understand why it's blowing up the way that it is, but it is. And I was like, Steve, I know why. It's a beautiful product. It's an amazing product, right? Like here's the thing. Before Business Central, what in my opinion, like your average user, your average like small mom and pop shop basically had QuickBooks, right? And I come from like a QuickBooks like background. Like my mom, I was like 13, like keying in POs to QuickBooks, right? So I've seen that program for a long time. I've ran several different companies where we were using that, and it's not a system full of integrity, right? It is trash. if I'm being so bold
Wow.
to
Yeah.
say. I know, like, but that's just really how I feel, right? Like, we can change transactions that, like, it has no financial integrity. It's like my personal opinion on it, right? But why so many people have it then? Because it was quick and easy, right? It gave them exactly what they needed to do. Now, Business Central can be a jump for our QuickBooks users, but here's the thing. Now, small, mom and pop shops can use something like Business Central and actually have an enterprise feel, right? We have cloud-based applications, we have AI, we have the opportunity to really like grow and scale your business at astronomical amounts. And to me, that's why Business Central is like so exciting, is that it can be for a one user team or it can be for a 200 user team. So it can really just grow with you.
It really can. And it's funny that you mentioned sort of the QuickBooks origin, because that's how it was sold to me years ago when it started, is like, hey, this is just to supplant QuickBooks. And it's obviously gone way more than that, or there was a way larger base of QuickBooks users than I ever thought was possible. And I mean, every conference in the past year at least feels more and more like all these Dynamics conferences are really just Business Central conferences. All of the ISVs, Business Central. It's a wild time.
Well, here's the thing too, right? And here's one of like the aspects that I've said about that is, why is Microsoft, like, why are they dedicating this time into here? Think about here in the US. It's like 98% of our gross GDP in the US is small businesses. It's a small business enterprise, right? Like with Microsoft, they're not dumb, huge, amazing company, right? Like, are we really not going to go after 98% of the GB? You know what I mean? Like, are we just going to let QuickBooks like have that market share? Or do we see that there's this huge opportunity for growth in people that really need these applications? Let's go after that. And then speaking more into that, with Business Central, is the ability to have the APIs, right? And so Business Central can be just about anything I think that your average company needs it to be, with various integrations and components like that.
Yeah, and I got to hear some of your session at Community Summit where you spoke on some of that. And just a quick credit shout out to Stefano, one of the Microsoft MVPs, who put up a picture of a slide from Directions talking about some of the integrations coming soon, Power Platform and Business Central. So we have a couple things here I wanted to touch base on, because I think that these are some strong areas for you. One, support for Power Pages via Dataverse virtual tables, support for building flows with Copilot within Business Central, more out-of-the-box APIs exposed to Power Platform and other integrations, further enhancements to approval flows, approval audit process, and approvals using AI, and more resilient data change events pipeline, say that 3 times fast, for Power Automate and other integrations. So, as someone who's not doing the deployments,
Mhm.
is this reason to be excited?
This is, for me, I mean, I think it's really exciting what these do, right? So I'll try to break down a couple of thought processes on each of them. The Power Pages is going to be a big game changer. Think customer portals and vendor portals, right? So right now, your Business Central user is having to outsource that to another ISV shop. And there will always be a place for these ISV shops in that. Like, let me state that first, right? Like, there will always be a place for both solutions. But what Power Pages does is it gives, again, like some smaller opportunities, some smaller scenarios, less complex, to be able to directly, tie into there right now. Because right now, there's a few ISVs, they're pretty big, they're pretty complex, but our customers need more. And so this is going to be a game changer in that ability. Right now, customers have to do like workarounds to be able to do that. So that's going to be a really exciting framework that's going to have the nice security that's still structured. So it'll be good. I think with that, though, I will say that I think it will be an additional licensing cost that will go associated with that, because the thing with all of the licenses is still going to be, you can't access the data if you don't have, you know what I mean, at least an external like license. So it'll be interesting to see if it's a read only access, and so they're not going to charge for additional Business Central licenses, or to get your external users to view those portals. I'm wondering if they're going to have some type of like team member license. So I don't know the details on that one yet, but I think it should be interesting to see how that one, you know, kind of plays
Yeah.
out as far as the pages go.
My suspicion is that it'll follow a pretty similar Power Pages licensing structure, but like you said, that really remains to be seen as they this moves, you know, it's just now only in preview. So I guess we'll know more in the coming weeks. And you mentioned a good point with ISVs, right? Because that's another area where we've seen Business Central Premium, where you can attach D365 field service to that now, because there's been a huge market for field
Yep.
service in Business Central. So, you know, is there a space for ISVs? Absolutely. Is is Microsoft trying to also make that easier, like you said, maybe for some of the smaller mom and pop shops or people who have sort of maybe a different use case? Yeah, I think so.
To your point, kind of field service specifically, I think that that's where like those more out of the box APIs, I think that's going to be really exciting, because currently, you know, there's a certain set, I don't know, I would be a liar if I told you I knew the number off the top of my head, right? But there's like a standard, you know, number of out of the box APIs for Business Central. One of the issues specifically connecting with field service is the lack of job or project APIs that are out of the box for Business Central. So I think that that's a really exciting component that they, you know, kind of touched on, is bringing more out of the box ones, because there's plenty of APIs. Well, so there's plenty of tables and fields that are in Business Central right now that either one don't have a solid API, or if it does, it's missing a majority of the properties that we're seeing within the table that even
Mm.
make it useful. So there continues to be, I will call it a citizen development block or build up for Business Central to really, you know, develop and employ the Power Platform and Power Automate, because 9 times out of 10, or at least 7 times out of 10, they're running into an issue where they need a custom API, right? And it should be for really basic standard things that they just aren't there yet. So I think that that part, you know what I mean, having more out of the box APIs is going to be a huge game changer and really unlock a lot of doors for end users and partners alike.
Yeah, I think so too. And to your point, I mean, for me, the number of tables in Business Central is enough to intimidate anyone, let alone, like you said, if you're having some API wonkiness or there's things that are really it's not fulfilling. Um, One of the other things they mention here is building flows with Copilot within Business Central. So this comes off of the heels of, I believe it was Directions here in the United States in the spring, where they were talking about more of the ability to build flows natively within Business Central, right? So we're seeing quality of life improvements there. What's that evolution been like for you? Because you probably started this before any of this was a thing, right?
Yeah, I definitely have. It's an interesting journey, if I'm being really honest, you know. It's part of it's really exciting, right? Because one of the journeys that I have been on is really trying to explore the possibilities, get people's ideas, right? Like if you come to one of my sessions, one of the statements that I'll always make is, if you walk away with an idea on something that you can use the Power Platform in your Business Central system, then I think that like this session has been successful, right? It's really just been trying to garner those ideas out of people to say, hey, what more can I be doing, right? So and then showing them how easy it is in fact to do that. I've done such a great job that it's been a whole business for me here, right? So I'm really excited to see that my job will be easier in getting people to think of the ideas, right? As far as, you know, what it is that they can do, because it's going to continue to be easier. Right now, you know, like you said, in the spring, they said we want to make, you know, building flows within Business Central more native. They just, in this last wave, you can now create like 3 different types of flows from within Business Central, right? And so I think adding the Copilot, and then of course we have Copilot and Power Automate, And they just, one of the really exciting things that they, now said of EMEA as well right now is that they're going to have Copilot for Business Central, more than just marketing instructions, right? Like actually like tell me data, which I think is super exciting because I had like a flow. I don't know if I had a LinkedIn session or something recently where I was trying to do the same exact thing, right? I created a custom connector for ChatGPT because I was like, I want to use ChatGPT to read my customer data, to read this type of data and like give me information back. So when I saw that they did that, I was like, great minds think alike. Love that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, they
it's
just got to market sooner than I did. So
oh man, missed that billion-dollar opportunity. But no, I think that's where you and I are on the same page because I give a similar message when I'm talking about Copilot, whether it's in Power Apps or Power Automate. Uh, and I say, use this because you never know. You might just mess around and come up with something great. Some of these citizen development things, and talking with some of the other sort of thought leaders in the industry, some of the people who experience the most business challenges but have the least amount of skill, I'll put it that way,
yeah,
might have the best ideas because they're the ones again experiencing the most challenges. So it's not
yeah,
necessarily a skill set thing. It's about I have the most barriers that I have to
yeah,
overcome to do my
yeah.
job.
Yes. Agreed, right? And here's the thing too, for anyone that just, has the skill set and is still pursuing Copilot. I was on that train. I mean, I gave directions. I gave, at Summit, sessions. I'm like, man, I don't really know about Copilot yet. But here's the reality of it, right? Had some change of heart, did some digging, did some like looking at different things. And, honestly, it's just like the Power Platform. Okay. Either get on board or get left behind. Okay. So here's the thing with Copilot, it's just something new. I've been taking some time. I'm actually excited to premiere some brand new content at a Southeast Regional, meetup that we're having, next week, depending on, when you're listening to this message, but I'm excited to share some there because what I've decided, because again, it's about working smarter, not harder. So when we're using Business Central Copilot, right? So now we can have these users and they can create it, whether you're an end user with skills or you're just a partner, like time is money. Do you want to take 30 minutes to do something or do you want to take 3 minutes to do something, right? Like how quickly, do you want to turn around? What type of, value are you trying to provide to your customers? So I would say whether you are new to Power Automate or you're a seasoned, expert in Power Automate, lean into Copilot, lean into what they're doing for us here, and just kind of adopt the tools. Because one, we're either going to lower the barriers or save time, or eventually like Copilot's not going anywhere. So you will get left behind if you don't just get on board.
And that's a really great message to hear from you, honestly, because that really answers my follow-up question, which was, is there will pro devs have love for Copilot, right? Is it a threat or is it a helper?
It depends. It's going to be it's whatever way you choose to look at it is my really honest opinion, right? And I would say the same thing with the Power Platform, right? One could say that threatens, pro development. I would say that I get some pushback from pro developers in the Business Central space, right? Because I'm using a low code approach to utilize that, and sometimes, it's like, it's just a different way, right? So it's just a different way. So I think that we'll see the same exact things, in Copilot. It's still new. I'm not saying that it's everything in the entire world. It is not here to take jobs and change the world today, right? But it's like, do you want to go to the library and find a book? And you know what I mean? Like, do you remember, like, you used to go to the library, like, I want to find a book on this topic. And so you'd go and you'd like get your like little list and you'd like write down your number and you'd go and like you find your book. Or do you want to Google? Right? Like, it's just about like being smarter with the tools that we're using. Will it take, will Copilot take anyone's job? I don't think it's going to in the next 5 years. I don't know what the future holds after that. It's technology. Like, the world is crazy, right? But I think I think that it is an important skill set for people to use and to understand, because it's going to be at the forefront of conversations, right? If you are going to be so adamantly, no, I hate Copilot, then you have sure as better have spent some time working with it and using it and having exact points on why you personally do not like it, or why it's not working for you, if you're going to have like a strong standpoint on that. That's my opinion. I think it's just a tool that we should learn about and use to your desire.
Yeah, and it's in all of my testing, right? Because that's kind of on my side of the spectrum, is testing and understanding so that I can speak about these things to partners and end users.
Mhm.
It's not perfect right now by any stretch of the imagination. It won't even do some of the things that I wish it would do for me, but I'm cautiously optimistic.
Well, and here's the thing too. So with this, what I've learned in, I always talk about accountability. Is it that it's not doing exactly what you want it to do? Or do you need to keep working with the questions that you're asking it, right? Because there's this whole, that's the trick, I think, to Copilot, to a bunch of things. And also, I don't think that Copilot is supposed to do exactly what you need it to do either off the bat. I think it's supposed to help give ideas. I think it's supposed to help give framework, but I don't think it's just an autopilot. It's Copilot, not autopilot. You know what I mean? And so it's like, cool, like talk to me about what it is that you don't like in that scenario. Like I feel like maybe as a female, I'm going to be really good at Copilot, because I can be really, really specific about what I want, what I don't want, and exactly how I need you to give this to me right now, right? That's a skill set that I have. So I feel like me and Copilot can really get along. But
Copilot, not autopilot. I love that.
right. Yeah, that's what we're gonna go with. It's Copilot. We're supposed to work together. It's not autopilot. It's not supposed to do your entire job yet. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. I know we are probably kind of pushing on time. I just have a couple more questions for you, Mary,
go for
if
it.
you have a second.
I do.
One, what's your favorite feature in Business Central right now?
My
I know,
favorite
on the spot.
feature in Business Central. Honestly, so it'd be a combination of Business Central and Power Platform. Big
Okay.
shocker, I know. What I love is business events. Okay, because this is going to be a game changer. So they now have like standard, what we'll call standard business events, and like the naming of that's a little touchy. I know there's gonna be developers that are coming at me right now. I'm like, that's not what we're naming it. Cool. You know what I mean? So basically it's like whenever a sales invoice is posted, opposed to just a new sales invoice record being created, that's the business event that's currently happening, right? So the amount of flows and automations and things that we can trigger off of these business events, I think is, what's really exciting. And the fact that we can also create custom business events, easily load them, because Business Central is like a cloud-based, package. I think that that's really, really exciting for the stuff that like I'm currently working on. But I will say that I actually think that probably the new Copilot, like the announcements that I'm seeing, like the Copilot in Business Central, is probably absolutely the most exciting thing. But I know nothing about it more right now than a PowerPoint slide. So
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to look and figure out how I can get my hands on that this weekend.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. I've done the marketing description component of Copilot and Business
Yeah,
Central, and it's nice, right? It's a little fluffy. It really depends on how deep you go into like your physical goods, I think, when you're
right,
doing Business Central.
right. I'm not a product-based company, right? Like I run LGL, so like that's not exciting to me yet. But I mean, I can see where it would be like really helpful for others. But yeah, like when we can have Business Central, being over here, because I've seen this for like other products, like Cavallo has the same thing, right? They have kind of like this co-pilot where you're like, hey, tell me what I need to do. And so that does that within like the Cavallo like market. So I'm so excited to see what that can be like for Business Central. Like I just wonder what type of questions I can ask it. Like based off of my, customer like trends, when should I put out a marketing push or something like that? I don't know what it's going to give us, but I think that I think it could be a really big game changer.
Well, and if anyone has a voice to to help with that. It's certainly you and the MVP community. Last question then, Mary, how can people get in touch with you? Who do you help?
Perfect. Thanks. So how can people get in touch with me? You can find me on LinkedIn. I go to conferences and people are like, Mary, I see your face every day. So if you go to LinkedIn, search up Mary Myers, you can find me there. You can also, my website's www.worldmaxp2.com. And then I'm also on X, formerly known as Twitter. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me there as well. Mary Myers, I think underscore WM for WorldMax. And I also have a TikTok channel. So I think the better question, Blake, is like, where can't you find me? So look up any social media platform, type in a little Mary Myers, you will find me there. Who do I help? I love helping partners and end users, really work on expanding their solutions, whether they have like an integration that needs to be done. We can use the Power Platform for that. I also help a lot of ISVs kind of put their products right onto the Power Platform and kind of go to market with that strategy. My team though can really be like Power Platform support services at like an expert level for partners that maybe they don't have a Power Platform resource, but they have some project or they really want to open up, some more ROI or new business channel for themselves, but they don't quite have the bench for that yet. Great. That's where my team can come in, kind of help your team get the work going and off the floor. And then we go away, but we're here to really make our partners look really great. And then we do the same thing for our end users, right? Building solutions there as well. And we also do training services. So if you're a Microsoft partner and you're wondering how can we quickly upskill our partners, especially in the Business Central space, we offer some training courses that are specific for Power Automate for Business Central. So those are just some of the things we do. We're always open to more shenanigans, I guess.
Well, it sounds like people can find you anywhere and learn just about anything Power Platform and Business Central related from you. That's awesome. Having said that, Mary, once again, thank you so much for your time today. I'll catch you next week at
We'll
the Doug meetup, and we'll talk soon.
Perfect. Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, Blake.
No problem. Hey, everyone. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, follow Mary on socials, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.